see the Night Report, Chris Sakonis from WRSU, Chris Eisman from Asbury Park Press, and Anthony Fusilli, Fooch. So the format today will be, we'll start with an opening statement from Coach, and then we'll go into questions. We'll do one question all the way around the horn, and then we'll open it up after that. And just as a reminder, when you're not talking, if you could please keep your line on mute. So, Coach, we'll start with an opening statement with you.
All right, thanks. Great to be here. Excited to be on this call. Excited to be at Rutgers. Excited to be back in the Northeast. Excited to be working with Coach Schiano, and excited about the task at hand, and that's bringing big-time major college football back to the Northeast. And couldn't be more excited about the opportunity. Look forward to resuming a new normal at some point, getting back on campus, getting back around our players, around the staff, and continuing to build on those relationships we got started with pre-spring break, and continuing to build this Rutgers football culture and see where we can take this program.
All right, we'll start off with Keith Sargent.
Hey, Adam, how are you?
Good, Keith. How are you?
Doing well. During Greg's first tenure, his 11 years, we were known for a couple things in special teams. It was a lot of block kicks. I think they had 57 over an 11-year period, and then getting touchdowns, making a lot of plays on special teams. I think they had 24 over 11 years. I'm wondering if your philosophy, as far as being aggressive in those two areas and making disruptive, game-changing plays, if it matches what Greg wants to be on special teams.
Yeah, no doubt. During his first tenure here, I was coaching locally in Eastern Pennsylvania, so I'm well aware of what his philosophy is and what the tradition of special teams under Coach Schiano at Rutgers has been. We're very much in sync in that regard. It's always been my approach and philosophy is to be aggressive, to be smart, but definitely to be aggressive. We understand that special teams can be a game-changing factor, not only in creating huge momentum swings with block kicks, huge returns, touchdowns, but also just controlling the field position and how that positively impacts the success of your offense and defense as a function of starting field position. When I worked with Coach at Ohio State, we were very much working together on the punt block unit. It was the same aggressive mentality, and that's one of the real reasons I'm real excited to be here at Rutgers working with Coach, is because I know his emphasis on special teams, I know his philosophy on special teams, and his mentality, and it's very much aligned with what I've done throughout my career. And I'm real excited to, again, get back to campus and get to work with him.
Bobby Darren.
Coach, how you doing?
Good, Bobby. How are you?
Good. I was curious about how the process evolved with you coming here, with Greg approaching you. Can you just kind of talk about how that went down?
Yeah, I had ended up at Ohio State in 2017 as a special teams quality control, and Coach Schiano and our paths had crossed a couple of years back while I was coaching at Wake Forest. So there was a little bit of interaction. He had kind of come down as a consultant and observed me as a special teams coordinator, bounced some ideas off of him when I had the opportunity to, and then kind of reconnected at Ohio State. And again, he served as a resource, as a mentor to me during that year where I was heavily involved with special teams, with Coach Meyer, with Coach Schiano, with Coach Frazier, and the rest of the special team staff up at Ohio State. And I think we just developed a little bit of a connection. He really was great to me and my family when they came up to visit in Columbus, and I guess that's how the process started. And I think when you look at his staff, it's either guys that have worked for him or played for him, or guys that he's developed some kind of either working or personal connection with, because I think the relationship aspect of what we're doing as coaches is really critical. I mean, I think he saw something in me with the way, even in the role I was in at Ohio State as a quality control coach, just saw the way I connected with the players, how I engaged the players, and felt that would be valuable as he moved forward with his staff here at Rutgers.
Tom Canavan. Tom, you're on mute.
have the mic on. The question I have is, with the coronavirus, there's a lot of travel restrictions. I'm wondering, Adam, is he in the States or is he back in Australia? And is there a concern, if he is, getting him back?
No, he is. He's still living in New Brunswick. So he's just like every other player is back at home or on their off campus or at their off campus apartment. So contact with him is daily. He's getting his work in from an academic standpoint, from a strength and conditioning standpoint, from a skill-specific standpoint, football-wise, and obviously the relationship, the connection that I'm developing with him is still day to day. So we haven't missed a beat there.
Thank you.
Chris Nowalski.
Hey, Coach. Actually, sticking with Corsac, from watching the film, what kind of weapon do you think he can be for your guys still?
I think he's outstanding. He's got a multitude of kicks that he can execute. Great with ball placement, great with operation time. He's got a great feel, and he's going to be a weapon. We talk about our punt team's goal is to play great defense. That's it. I mean, it doesn't mean we're not going to play great offense with our punt team if the situation calls for it, but we're going to play great defense. We're going to flip the field in backed up situations or regular field situations. Again, that team mentality, that complementary football of what can the punt team do to help the defense out. So, number one, we want to flip the field. Number two, we want to limit return opportunities. And I think his ability with ball placement, hang time, and operation time is going to do that. And then the last thing, something he's pretty proficient at is, if we happen to stall near midfield, our ability to execute and pooch punt will allow our defense to defend 90-plus yards. And I think he's tremendous in that phase of the punt game, and that's going to be critical as we create that domino effect of a great play on special teams, leads to better field position for that side of the ball, leads to the next possession being a positive one for Rutgers. So he's outstanding, excited to work with him, and I know he's going to help our team.
Thank you. Yep.
Chris Tsakonis.
Coach, I'm just interested to get your thoughts on, with the uncertainty of both how coronavirus has affected spring practice and not being sure of when you're going to be able to get back on campus and actually physically practice with the special teams unit. How are you sort of going through your off-season preparations with the guys without the ability to practice in person?
It's a combination of WebEx meetings, installing over the virtual world, which is that's the norm now. And, we're taking it day by day. We don't know when we'll return to campus. We're focusing on the day. And, we've got an approach, and Coach Schiano summed it up. We want to thrive during this time, not just survive. So everything that we're doing day to day to promote our culture, for me as a special teams coordinator, to build relationships, to connect with players across the roster, we're doing that. Schematically, we're installing the same way you do offense and defense on Zoom meetings, and we're going to maximize this time, and we're going to thrive in this uncertain time, not just survive.
Chris Eisman.
How are you?
Good, Chris. How are you?
Good, thanks. Just wondering, kind of sticking with how the coronavirus has changed everything. When it comes to recruiting, how challenging has the last couple of months been, and how have you guys been able to adjust? Obviously, you've had some success, so how have you been able to adjust and really connect with your prospects?
Well, it's just like anything else. You either adapt and adjust, or you fall behind. And we're using technology. We're working the phones. Obviously, this time of year would be spring recruiting. We'd be out on the road in high schools. We'd be getting unofficial visitors on campus. June would be camp season where we get unofficial visitors to visit, to spend time with us, to work out at camp. None of that's going to happen. So we are using technology. We're working the phones to make up for that lost typical recruiting time. We're trying to give people a feel virtually of what the campus is about, but more importantly, we're trying to connect with them, with their parents, with their coaches, develop relationships. A lot of time, spent on FaceTime calls. Again, it's not the same as face-to-face, but just as I'm looking at you right now, there's a little bit more of a connection than if I was just on the other end of a phone call. So, I think that just speaks to the type of coaches and staff that Coach Schiano put together. Guys that want to build relationships, guys that are going to connect with players and their families, and that's how you build the basis of a relationship. And that's how we recruit. And then obviously using the virtual tours as a means to make up for the inability of prospects and their families to get to campus, hopefully can close the gap a little bit.
Thank you.
Coach?
Good morning, Coach. How you doing?
Good, Butch. How are you?
Got a big fan of Kenny Albert.
Shout out from Kenny Albert?
Yeah, good, big fan of yours.
Yeah, tell him I say hello.
I will. Just wanted to know, what head start do you think you have with Davinovitz, Korsak, and Taylor already coming back?
You broke up a little bit, but the question was, what head start do I have?
Yeah, with Davinovitz, Taylor, and Korsak already, established.
Yeah, I think it's a bonus coming into a program with upper class, and in this case, senior returnees at the specialist positions, kicker, punter, and long snapper. Those guys have been great. They've got experience. It's my job to build a relationship with them, to continue to develop trust. Trust will lead to confidence, and get them to play at a higher level. I mean, as good as Korsak was a year ago, I think he can be better. And some of the things that we're going to do are going to make that happen. Billy Taylor's a great leader in our position room. I think he's a great leader on the team. Gets after it in the weight room. He's obviously good at what he does. He's confident. And Justin, I think, is a really, really talented kicker. And I think over time, the relationship that I build with him, which is kind of one of the things that I hang my hat on is 20 plus years as a special teams coordinator, working with kickers, is just developing the mental side of it. And that starts with developing a strong relationship with him, which leads to trust. And when he walks on the field, knowing that I trust him, it's a different sense of confidence that he approaches that kick with. And that stuff, it's an ongoing process. It got a little bit interrupted with the coronavirus and being separate, but we're doing all we can, FaceTiming each other, making up for that relationship building process. But that was a long answer, but I'm fired up to work with the three of those guys. Those guys have been they've been in the battle before. They're battle tested in the Big Ten, and I think they'll be real leaders in our special teams phase.
Thank you.
All right, we'll open up the floor here for a few more follow-up questions. Sarge?
My question is about Aaron Cruikshank. When we last saw him, I think he had a 5-yard touchdown in the Rose Bowl. Two-part question. One, is he eligible? And then two, what type of weapon do you expect him to be in the return game?
Well, I won't comment on the first part. I don't know. I assume he is. But in terms of a weapon, he's a guy that's going to compete for an opportunity to be our kick returner and our punt returner. And obviously, when you look at his track record, he's got speed, he's got explosiveness, he's got the ability to change the game. When we talk about changing the game with explosive plays, we're talking about, again, it gets back to team football. If we can start with the ball closer to the goal line, we'll be more effective offense, and that transpires in the kickoff return and the punt return game. So, I think there's slightly different skill sets. Certainly, he can do both, but he's got the speed, he's got the game-breaking ability, and I look forward to working with him.
Got time for two more?
I got one, Coach, for you. I noticed after doing a little research that you have a lot of pets and stuff like that. I just wanted to ask you about all your pets and how they all came about.
Yeah, the Scheier pet saga is legendary at various schools I've been at. My wife's a veterinarian, so any animal that gets dropped off at her vet hospital ends up finding their way to our house. house. She feels that's her mission in life is to give all these pets a good home. And then there's also the impulse purchases, right? She doesn't buy a lot of clothes or a lot of jewelry or handbags. She buys animals. So we've got a pig, we've got 7 cats, 2 dogs, 2 parrots. We've had more exotic pets in the past. We've topped out at 19 pets at one point. I think we're down to 10. But the unique thing about the pets in the Scheier household is once my kids got of age to be involved in the naming of the pets and they started to connect and develop relationships with the players on the teams I've coached, all the pets in our household are named after players that I've coached. Our oldest dog right now is a 16-year-old Japanese Chin who was named after Coloma Cardwell, who was our starting safety at Lehigh University back in 2004. So my old comment to all the guys I coach is you can reach all conference status, you can reach all American status, but the highest honor you can reach is getting a pet named after you.
Thank you. That's great.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Final question, anyone?
Hey, Adam, Tom Canavan. Do you believe in using starters on special teams?
I do, and it's I know it's a belief shared by Coach Schiano. We're going to use our best players, and obviously you don't say that with a blanket statement that you're going to have a starter then also start on 4 units, but you're going to pick and choose. But I know it's a philosophy of coaches, and one that I'm very much aligned with is that we've got to have our best players out there, and if your best player is a backup or a walk-on, well, that's fine. Then he'll be on 4 units. If your best player is a starter, then we got to pick and choose the units that he'll be on. I also know it's a philosophy of Coach Schiano's to play a lot of players, which I think serves a lot of purposes. It allows you to use all the talent on the roster on special teams. It allows more guys to have a role and to get involved and feel like they're contributing not only during the practice week but on game day. So to answer your question, yes, there will be starters on all the special teams, and there'll also be backups and walk-ons on all the special teams, guys that embrace that role and buy in and provide meaningful snaps for us in the special teams game.
All right, thanks, Coach, for your time today.
Appreciate it, James. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
You too.